was very much liked by a Klinger, and his name was John Chess, and every morning he thought the crazier you would act, the less they would mess with you. He was really a pretty smart guy, but he just did crazy things, like he'd strip down to his underwear, and he'd get up on top of the tent with a riding crop and a polo helmet, and he'd whip the tent. The commanding officer says, "Okay, Chess, you're not going home." And he says, "It looks like you're not fit for duty other than beating the dust off the tents." And he ended up being in the company store, having the job of the company store for the entire time I was there. He had a very light duty. So that a lot of what we saw in MASH, it just brought back memories of what, it wasn't all bad times getting out. It was, you had some fun times, and you had to realize people were coming from all over the world. So I didn't mean to sidetrack you there. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I just want to ask.
There's so much. There's a lot of truth in that story.
Yeah, I know. So I'm gonna get started, and could you tell us about your time in the military?
I started in 1963, shortly after John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated, and the country was kind of in a lull. I don't know. It's hard to explain what the country was really like. It was just like the heart had been shot out of this country. And I was at Coney High School. I was down at the old Coney High School. And I was a good student. I didn't have any problems at that, but I had problems at home. And we didn't have the social support that you have today when a kid had problems at home. It wasn't easy. I was working a job full-time. I was working in the hotel. I was a bellhop. And I couldn't get any sleep, and things at home weren't good. And I decided I got to do something. I got to get away from this. And I went down and I put myself in the Marine Corps. 17 years old. I was a junior. I joined the Marine Corps, and I finished my high school in the service. So my graduating class is 65, and I go to all the reunions. Everybody knows me because they knew me since I was a little kid. But I actually graduated in 63 when I went in the Marine Corps. I went in and I finished my high school. And I actually did 2 years of college in the Marine Corps as well. But boot camp was 16 weeks long. It was the most gruel. I want to say that right. I want to say I played football for Coney, so I thought that was tough. Let me tell you, Marine Corps boot camp is the toughest thing anybody will go through in their life. But it will define you, a person. I shouldn't say you. It would define one's character. And if you get through that, you will have a sense of accomplishment, a sense of I'm looking for a word here and I can't think of it.
Seems it would give you a sense of invincibility almost. Like it would be. I feel like getting through something that's that difficult and that grueling would be kind of accomplishment.
Accomplishment is the best word I can say, and you feel confidence. Mm-hmm. If you can go through that, you can pretty much take anything on in life. I mean, Marine Corps training is the toughest there is. I've been an Army drill sergeant, and I can tell you, the Army is nothing like the Marine Corps. Nowhere near. So I went in the Marine Corps, and then boot camp was a shocker. But anyways, I got through that, and then I served a year in Beaufort, South Carolina, at the Marine Corps Air Station. I went into aviation. I was a flight equipment technician. I took care of pilots' gear, from the helmets to the oxygen masks to their parachutes, flotation. But I was assigned in oxygen. I took care of pretty much their oxygen mask and all their technical equipment so that they could fly high altitudes. 1 year into my stint down at Beaufort, South Carolina Marine Corps Air Station, I wanted to transfer to Japan. So I put in 4 orders to go to Etsugi, Japan. And to make a long story short, I mean, I came home and I was on leave, and then I went back. I thought I was en route to Japan. I was on a ship bound from San Diego to Japan. We got off the ship in Japan, 24-hour leave, and we got back on another ship. And I found out once we were at sea that we were going to Vietnam. Didn't even know where we were going. And still didn't know where we were going to land. We just knew we were going to Vietnam, and I'd never even heard of Vietnam. 1965. And during that build-up in 1965, you'll see in history, if you're reading it, President Johnson assigned 30,000 Marines. He had a 300,000 build-up, but we were part of a unit of 30,000 Marines that went in 1965. And when we went in, we made a beach landing. We were on what they call an attack ship. And it's like you see in the Marines hitting the beaches. That's what we did. We hit China Beach in an assault that really we had no opposition. We camped on the beach that night. There was some mortar attacks, but nothing that I felt inherently dangerous or anything like that. I was too young to be scared. I was all guts and glory, and then you didn't feel that fear that I'd feel, since. When I went to flight equipment school, I'm going to back up a minute. When I went to flight school, I also learned to jump out of airplanes, because that's part of the training. You pack parachutes, and to make sure you pack them right, you pack your own chute first, and you jump with it.
That must have been fun.
So if you don't pack it right, you're the one that's going to suffer for it. So you pay attention how to pack a parachute. That's where I learned to jump. And I made a few jumps. I didn't make a lot of jumps. I made 15 jumps. And when I first went to Vietnam, that's what I was assigned to. I was assigned to a transport unit and helped pack parachutes that actually dropped supplies into other areas. And I used to pack those chutes on them, and we'd push them out of the back of the big planes, the C-130s. And that was my job when I first got there. I didn't do pilot's gear originally. I went on 60 days of perimeter duty around Da Nang, and that was the combat that I saw mostly. I was doing patrol duty, they called it. And I was there for about 9 months, and then I was assigned to the High Altitude Flight Suit Center, and we couldn't keep those suits in Vietnam because of the moisture. It was so damp and so muddy. It was like red clay, and the compound of the soil and the humidity would get into the rubber lining of the suits. And these suits cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even back then. Give you an idea what the suit looks like. Have you seen pictures when John Glenn first went up in space? Mm-hmm. You know what that flight suit looked like?
Yeah.
That's the flight suit that I used to work on. That's the actual suit. That suit. Every pilot was assigned one of those suits when he comes out of flight school. And they pack them up. They don't even use them unless they go fly above 60,000 feet. And they follow the pilot around wherever he's assigned. So that's
When you were on patrol duty, you said that was most of your time in combat. What kind of combat did you see?
Just insurgencies upon the base. One particular one that I can honestly say, I look back on it, and so there were people that were hurt and people that were killed. There was an insurgency on our base coming. Terrorists coming in. I call them terrorists. That's what they were. Coming into our base at our rear gate, and the closest thing I can liken it to is if you saw the movie Full Metal Jacket, where they come into the gate and they were running the gate, and a person was on the machine gun. That was my post actually, and that's just what it looked like. I don't know who wrote that movie. They had to have something to do with that night because I was on machine gun one. And that was pretty much the toughest thing that I saw. But you'll have others here that saw a lot. Sergeant Major saw a lot of action. He was involved with Quezon. That was 60-something days of siege by the enemy. They had it tough. That's a true hero. You're looking at one over there.
Yeah.
Sergeant Major.
So. And when you got out of the military, did you see people differently, and did they kind of treat you differently, or?
When I came home in 1966, we were treated rather shabbily.
Yeah, because people weren't fans of the Vietnam War.
No, and they blamed us for it.
Yeah, which is...
I've had eggs thrown at me. I was spit at. You didn't wear a uniform. You didn't join veterans groups. You didn't even go to the VA for care because the people that worked at the VA really didn't even like us. We were treated rather shabbily. I think the reason today that you find more respect for veterans is because we worked hard as a group of veterans that came back that way, and we made sure no veteran would ever come back to that. And to this day, I won't let that happen. I won't, personally. You know, it was. I didn't hold a grudge, but it was kind of bad.
Yeah, it must have sucked to like serve your country like that, and then only come back at 8. You know?
I buried it. I really did. I buried it.